evening, viewers. This is 300 Plus Academy, where all we do is exam tutoring, ensuring that you ace your next exam. Still on the business of NECO 2025 Biology Practical. Let's quickly dive into specimen E, F, and G, talking about butterfly, crayfish, and grasshopper. So, what are the probable questions here? Question 1 says, identify specimen E, F, G without reasons. Okay, in another way, we may be told to identify and at the same time classify specimen E, F, G. Probably we should state their class or their order. Remember that in taxonomy or classification, you have the kingdom, the phylum, the class, the order, the family, the genus, and the species. So, in identifying specimen E, F, G, as you can see in the diagram on your screen, specimen E is a butterfly, specimen F is a crayfish, specimen G is a grasshopper. Okay, so what phylum does specimen E, F, and G belongs to? They are all arthropods. That's arthropoda jointed appendages or legs. So what is the class of specimen E? Specimen E and specimen G, they are insecta. And the reason why they are insecta is simply because they have 3 pairs of jointed legs or appendages. You have the fact that their body is also divided into 3 parts: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. So the class of specimen E and G is insecta and insecta. When you look at specimen F, talking about your crayfish, the class is crustacea. Can we be told, and the reason for putting that into the class crustacea, of course, you know, it has so many legs. And apart from that, you look at the hard carapace that covers the cephalopoda. It has 2 body parts, cephalothorax and the segmented abdomen. So what is the order of specimen E, F, and G? Specimen E, talking about the butterfly, belongs to the order Lepidoptera. If you look at the diagram on your screen, look at the wings of the butterfly. It is a scale wing. The wings are scale. It's not a smooth skin. So Lepidoptera means scale wing. Then when you talk about specimen F, your crayfish, it has 10 legs. Deca means 10. Decapoda, that's, you're looking at so many legs there. So that is the order to which specimen F belongs. And then talking about your grasshopper, it has straight wing. That is why it belongs to the order Orthoptera. Ortho means straight. Orthoptera. That's to talk. When you say ptera, you're looking at the wings. So Orthoptera means straight wing. So that is the class and the order of specimen E, F, and G, and that answers question 1. Moving on to our question 2, it says, in a tabular form, state 6 observable differences in the external features of specimen E and F. So we want to look at 6 observable differences in the external features of specimens E and F. We want to look at observable differences that we can see externally in specimen E and F. The differences, as you can see on your screen, for the butterfly specimen E, body is divided into 3 segments: head, thorax, and abdomen. For the crayfish, you're looking at 2 segments: cephalothorax and abdomen. Look at the diagram very well. For the butterfly, it has the head region, it has the thorax region, the chest region, and it has the segmented abdomen. But for the crayfish, you just have the cephalothorax covered with a hard exoskeleton called carapace, and then you have the segmented abdomen. Look at the butterfly number 2. It has wings with broad scales, and that's why we put it into the class Lepidoptera. The wings are scales. For the crayfish, wings absent. Number 3, mouth part of the butterfly is generally modified into proboscis for sucking nectar secreted by Pride of Barbados specimen C. When you look at the crayfish, the mouth part has well developed mandibles, that's mandibulate mouth parts to crush, tear, and chew food. Number 4, thorax is not covered by hard exoskeleton, talking about the butterfly, but for the crayfish, cephalothorax is covered by hard, thick, and shield-like exoskeleton called carapace. Okay. Number 5, for the butterfly, appendages are not attached to each segment. As you can see in the diagram, the appendages for butterfly are attached to the thorax region. That's where you have the walking legs, or what we call appendages. But when you look at your crayfish specimen F, the appendages are attached to each segment. Appendages are attached to each segment. For the butterfly, you have 3 pairs of jointed appendages. That's number 6. But for your crayfish, you're looking at 8 pairs of jointed appendages. If we add the claw-like mandibles, that makes it 10. That's why we call it decapoda. That's the order, decapoda, 10 like so. The crayfish has 8 pairs of jointed appendages, and that just about ends the differences, observable differences in the external features of specimen E and specimen F. Moving on to the next question, question 3. It says we should mention 3 similarities between specimen E and specimen F. Now, specimen E and F both have antenna, both have compound eye, and both have jointed appendages. Very direct. You look at it. Both, if you look at the diagram on the screen, both have antenna, both have compound eyes for wide view, and both have jointed appendages, albeit they all belong to the phylum Arthropoda. So that just about ends question 3. Question 4, it says name the class to which each of E and F belong. We've answered that E and F, they belong to the class Insecta and Crustacea. Question 5 says give 2 reasons each to support your answer in question 4. So why are we putting specimen E and F into the class Insecta and Crustacea? That is question 5. Give 2 reasons each for the classes you mentioned for E and F. Now, the reasons why we are classifying specimen E, that's the butterfly, as Insecta. If you look at the diagram on your screen, it has 3 body divisions: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. It has 3 pairs of legs. I've said that before. It has a pair of antennae, and it has segmented abdomen. In fact, if you even observe with the hand lens, you will see that the butterfly has a long proboscis for sucking nectar, that's sucking mouth part. Now, if you look at, that's why we are classifying specimen E into the class Insecta. Now, for specimen F, why are we putting it into the class Crustacea? It's very simple. Specimen F is crayfish. It has 2 body division. You have the cephalothorax, the head and the chest region, the thorax fused together to form cephalothorax. And of course, you can see that in the diagram on your screen. That cephalothorax is protected by a hard carapace. A hard carapace. That cephalothorax is protected by hard carapace. Also, it has 8 pairs of legs, jointed legs on each of the segment. That's so many legs. That is why we are putting it into the class Crustacea. Also, if you use your hand lens and observe the mouth pad, it is mandibulate. It has mandibles. The mouth pad are well developed for chewing, and that just about talks about the reasons why we are putting specimen E and F into the class Insecta and Crustacea. So moving on to question 6, it says name one feature in each of specimen E and F used for defense. What are the features in E and F that is used for defending the organism, for defense by the organisms? What features, what characteristic does specimen E and F has that they use in defending themselves against potential predators? If you look at the butterfly, it is usually brightly colored. Now, that bright color is a warning coloration that they are distasteful, they are poisonous as an organism to predators. You can see bright color. What does that bright color of the butterfly specimen E does is that it sends a warning signal to potential predators that they are poisonous, that they are distasteful. Then that deters the predators from attacking them. If you don't want to say warning coloration, you can also call that aposematic coloration. At the same time, they use their color as camouflage. When we say camouflage, they just blend to their environment so that they are not noticed by predators. So what specimen E use as defense, the feature it possesses for defense is its bright color, which is used for camouflage or as a warning or aposematic coloration that they are poisonous or distasteful to potential predators. When you look at specimen F, that's the crayfish, what are the feature it uses for defense? You look at the diagram on your screen. It is about the large claws or the chelipeds, or also called chela. That's the second walking leg. You can see the claw in the diagram. It raises its claws. They raise their claws to pinch or grasp potential predators. And when they raise that claw, it also deters. It scares away predators from attacking them. So those are the features each of specimen E and F use for defenses. And that about ends question 6. Question 7 says, what are the economic importance of specimen G? That's grasshopper. Economic importance of specimen G. Remember that this particular lecture video is on specimen E, F, and G. E, F, and G. So this question 7 says, what are the economic importance of specimen G? Talking about grasshopper. Remember that this lecture video is on specimens E, F, and G. So economic importance of grasshopper is that they damage crops by eating leaves and roots. They even burrow into the soil, eat roots as well. So they cause damage to crops. Also, when they try to burrow into the soil, they free the soil, thereby aerating the soil. Air can come into the soil. Also, when they pass feces to the soil, they add to soil fertility. Those are 3 economic importance of specimen G, talking about grasshopper. And that just about ends question 7. Now, moving on to question 8, it says, state 2 ways by, question 7 talks about economic importance of specimen G. Now, question 8 says, state 2 ways by which the organism, by which specimen G is of economic importance to 1, its ecosystem, 2, to humans. So the question on economic importance can be twisted in another way to look at, okay, how is specimen G of economic, that's grasshopper, is of economic importance to its ecosystem, that's its environment, and how is it of economic importance to human? That's talking about question 8. So how is the grasshopper specimen G of importance to the ecosystem? The first one is that it destroys vegetation. When the grasshopper is where we have vegetation, it breathes out carbon dioxide, in which case the plant uses the carbon dioxide to photosynthesize. Also, the grasshopper serves as food for other organisms. Now, when you look at the food chain, birds and some other small animals feed on grasshopper, because grasshopper is a primary consumer here. It is feeding on vegetation. Now, other organisms like birds, they are going to feed, lizards, they are going to feed on the grasshopper. Also, you can imagine when grasshoppers are flying around where we are, it causes the discomfort or nuisance in the ecosystem. So we can just about pick about anyone that goes well with us. These are the economic importance of grasshopper specimen G to its ecosystem. Now, what are the economic importance of grasshopper specimen G to humans? The first one is that it serves as food or feeds for poultry. Yes, grasshopper is being fed to broilers, to layers, to poultry, as food or feeds. It destroys crops. When humans plant, there is the harvest we are expecting. But when grasshopper gets there, they infest, they feed on this crop, it lowers its market value, so it destroys crops. Serves as specimen for scientific research. Yes, as specimen G, grasshopper is used in scientific research. So also, since grasshopper destroys crops, it means we can say it reduces crop yield. The value we can sell crops that has not been eaten by grasshopper is not the same as those that has been eaten by a grasshopper. So it reduces crop yield. There is the harvest we are expecting, but once it is infested or being fed upon by grasshopper, it reduces the crop yield. Also, for those that harvest or hunt grasshoppers, it's a source of income because they are going to sell it as a source of protein to those making feeds for poultry. So it provides income, and that just about ends question 8 on the economic importance of specimen G to its ecosystem and also to humans. Question 9, it says classify specimen G into its phylum and its class. More or less like we should state the phylum and the class of specimen G. That's talking about question 9. Specimen G is a grasshopper. The phylum is Arthropoda. The class is Insecta. We've said that before. Okay. Now for question 10, it says we should give 3 reasons each for the phylum we've listed in question 9 and the class we've listed in question 9 for specimen G. Okay. Why are we classifying grasshopper as into the phylum Arthropoda? Very direct. It has jointed appendages. You can see in the diagram on your screen. Look at the leg. They are jointed legs. Chitinous exoskeleton covers the entire body. That's the body is made up of a chitin exoskeleton. Now, chitin is a sort of protein that cases the body, that covers the body. It is bilaterally symmetrical, like we could divide it into 2 equal halves, bilaterally symmetrical. That's one of the reasons why we are classifying specimen G as into the phylum Arthropoda. The body is also metamerically segmented. That's, if you look at the diagram, you look at immediately after the thorax, you look at the segments you have, they are repetitive segments. So when a segment is repetitive like that, we say it is metamerically segmented, repetitive segment. That's why we are classifying specimen G into the phylum Arthropoda. Why does specimen G belongs to the class Insecta? Very simple. It has 3 body division: head, thorax, and abdomen. Now the thorax, as you can see in that diagram, the jointed appendages, the legs, are on the thorax. So the thorax bears 3 pairs of legs. A compound eye, a pair of compound eye is another reason why we are putting into the class Insecta, and a pair of antenna, just to mention a few, are the reasons why specimen G, talking grasshopper, belongs to the class Insecta. That answers question 9 and question 10. Recall that at some point we've looked at the differences between specimen E and F. So, could it, if we've compared E and F, could it be, is it possible for us to, be looking at specimen E and specimen G? We've looked at E and F. Can we just look at comparison of specimen E and specimen G? Talking about butterfly and grasshopper, both are arthropods, are both belongs to the class insecta. You know the reasons, we've stated it over and over. Okay, let's look at the differences between specimen E and specimen G. Okay, when you look at a butterfly, you can see the answer on your screen. Differences between specimen E and specimen G, butterfly and grasshopper. When you look at specimen E, uh, it has proboscis for sucking nectar from flowers. It has a sucking mouth part. But when you look at the grasshopper, it has a mandibulate mouth part, presence of mandibles. Now, for the butterfly, it has a clubbed or rounded or knobbed antenna. But for the grasshopper, the antenna is not clubbed, rounded, or knobbed. It has a tapering antenna. Look at the diagram very well. It has a tapering antenna. Now, for the butterfly, the wings is membranous or soft. But for the grasshopper, the wings is harder. Now, for the butterfly, surface of wing is having scales. But when you look at the grasshopper, the surface of the wing is not having scales. That's very important. Wings are pigmented. For the butterfly, you have pigmented wings, but for the grasshopper, the color of the wings are uniform. It is either it is all brown all through or all green all through. Now you look at the legs in butterfly are short and less muscular, but for the grasshopper, that's specimen G, the limbs are a lot longer or elongated and more muscular. Now, the abdomen of the butterfly is airy, that's hairs on it. The abdomen of grasshopper is not airy, just to mention a few. Those are the differences between specimen E and specimen F. That answers question 11. Let's move to question 12. It says make a drawing 8 centimeter to 10 centimeter long of the dorsal view of specimen E and label fully. That is, we should, draw specimen E, butterfly, and label fully. We are not going to be drawing in this lecture video, but the link to all of the probable drawings for this exam is in the description of this video. Check the description and you'll see the link. Click and try to watch how to go about the drawing. So that answers that. Moving to question 13, it says state one way in which specimen G can be controlled. How can we control grasshopper? How can we control grasshopper? Okay, since they constitute nuisance and they reduce crop yield, how do we control them? We can control them by the use of insecticide, we can or pesticide, introduction of biological enemies such as birds or predators. Those are at least 2 ways by which we can control specimen G: use of insecticide or pesticide, introduction of biological enemies. That's talking about if we have birds on the farm, birds feed on grasshoppers, so we can control specimen G that way. Moving on to question 14, it says make a label drawing 8 centimeter to 10 centimeter long of specimen G and label fully. Can we be told to draw grasshopper, that's specimen G, and label fully? We'll see that in the lecture video on the drawings. And that just about ends the second part of this series on NECO 2025 biology practical. Next up is going to be the third set, talking about specimen H to specimen Oh, for myself and the entire team, it's bye for now.